Why is physical change reversible? When the bonds that keep the elements intact together break, the changes occur in the compound's chemical properties. The bond on breaking brings about the internal energy of the body. In a physical change, all these phenomena do not occur. The name itself suggests that the changes occur in the physical properties that are size, shape, or state. These changes do not break bonds, and hence, the internal energy remains the same. Therefore, the physical change is reversible in nature. To understand the reversibility of physical change, let us see the example of water. On cooling, liquid water changes into ice that is the solid form. From the liquid state, water has changed into a solid state that is changing has happened in the state of the water. On melting, ice can again change into water. We know that the chemical formula for ice and water is H2O, which means there is no change in chemical property. Hence, the physical change that takes place on cooling water can be reversed on melting. In the same, when we heat water, it changes into water vapors. The chemical formula of both of them remains H2O. We can reverse back water vapors into the water by condensation process. This whole conversion of water into ice and vapors and back to its original form explains the reversibility of physical changes. Are physical changes always reversible? We have understood, is physical change reversible or not? But is it always reversible? The answer to this is no. The physical change is not necessarily always reversible. Some of the changes cannot be brought back to their initial stage. To understand this, let us take the example of raw egg. When we break it down, the inner material comes out. The whole thing still remains the same, and there is no change in the chemical composition of the egg. Therefore, it is a physical change. But can we put back the yolk into the eggshell? The answer is no. We cannot reverse this change, hence it is an irreversible physical change. Therefore, we understand now that physical change does not always have to be reversible. There are a lot of physical changes that cannot be brought back. There are many who says the growth of a tree is completely chemical change as it is irreversible, but that is not the case. It is both chemical as well physical change. The growth of trees is an example of irreversible physical change. We know now that not all irreversible changes are chemical changes, they can also be physical changes. ABD physical change not always has to be reversible. Frequently asked questions, FAQs. What are the two types of changes? On reaction, there can occur two kinds of changes, chemical change and physical change. When a reaction takes place, and a completely new substance is formed with different chemical properties, the change is said to be a chemical change. When no new substance is formed and its properties remain the same before and after the reaction, the change is known as physical change. What is a physical change? The changes in the physical properties of the substance or object are known as physical changes. To explain the physical change, let us suppose you have a large piece of cloth and you cut it into small pieces. Here the change has occurred in the size of the cloth. So this is an example of physical change. The freezing of water is also an example of physical change. Give an example of physical change. The forces that bring about changes in a physical state, if the object is said to be physical changes. To explain the physical change, let us suppose you have a large piece of cloth and you cut it into small pieces. Here the change has occurred in the size of the cloth. So this is an example of physical change. The freezing of water is also an example of physical change. Is physical change reversible? Explain. Physical changes are those which does not involve any interference with the internal energy of the object. Since the internal energy remains the same before and after the reaction, there is no change in the object's chemical composition. Therefore, the physical changes are reversible in nature. That is, they can be brought back to their original state, for example, freezing of water into ice. Is physical change always reversible? No, physical change is not always reversible. it can be irreversible too. There are many examples of irreversible physical change. The cutting of trees into logs is a basic example of physical change. Since both are wood and there is no change in their composition, they are physical changes. But we cannot bring back the tree from the log, so it is an irreversible change. Please visit our website lambdageeks.com for more articles on technology, engineering, mathematics, and various other domains. Scientific calculator and many more other tools.